through your passionate love of the anime film Redline and a lot of the Captain Falcon memery, badassery, Falcon punchery, I know that you're a big
I
fan of
get it.
the
I
F-Zero.
am a stan for F-Zero. That is true.
Exactly, exactly.
That's one of the most, like, iconic things people know about me. My Optimus
Yeah,
Prime hoodie or the fact that, I will spout off angrily like an old man how there isn't a new F-Zero game.
exactly, and I know you've been begging for it, like, this is like you're dropping your pants down, lighting yourself on fire in front of Nintendo, like, saying, like, "Please, I need this!"
You know
So
what? I wouldn't really go that far.
anyway, like, just because I even saw a video, and I shared this with you before we started this. It was this really insightful video. Like Miyamoto said, like, "Well, why do you want this? Like, why make a game that people don't want? Because you're not putting it on Switch. You're not giving it to us, and you're not
Yeah,
giving me a chance."
I remember that whole thing, and like you mentioned with the video, I agree with the whole thing. There's, like, the whole thing is, like, they're trying to find something new. You gotta keep in mind, Nintendo doesn't exactly think of themselves as a video game company. I think they see themselves more as toy makers.
Yeah,
Everything is always gonna be limited. They're always trying to, like, work on the next thing in an innovative way. That's how they make their own games that are gonna be exclusive to them and not ported on something like PS4 and like Xbox One, you know? They wanna have something that's gonna help their sales. And
yeah,
I mean, like, it's all the power to them. It's a good way to, like, go about with your business. But it comes with a backside, and, like, you're not properly using the IPs. You're focusing on a gimmick first and the actual game second. And like I mentioned, like Star Fox with that, it's kind of how it like plundered with like some mediocre games for the time being. In regards to F-Zero, yeah, there was like a lot of points in the video, and I'm sure you could like link it in the description or something of what we're talking about. It's a lot to go through, but I agree with everything that they said, but I don't know if they really want. I think there was a bit of a risk when F-Zero came out at the time, and I'm gonna explain why. This is a span between 2003 and 2004. I think Nintendo were really trying to make F-Zero be the new big thing again. You had Sega and Nintendo joining forces for the first time, bitter rivals, like, from the start. They were like, this was like a fever dream. They were never gonna do anything together. Sonic and Mario, Sega does with Nintendo. There was a fierce rivalry going for the longest time. The fact that Nintendo went out of their way to work with Sega at this point to make this game, this perfect game we call F-Zero GX, phenomenal. I love everything about it. But, they did that. That was a huge, I'm sure that was a huge cost. They made the F-Zero AX machines, which were also part of promotion, which were arcade machines that you would find, and those cost a lot of money. And
mhm.
from the way I'm seeing it now, I actually follow Reddit, like Reddit threads regarding if there's any machines that still exist out there. The last time I managed to use one was at Wonderland near here for maybe like 5 years ago.
Mhm.
And such beautiful experiences. And I'm still to this day looking around and seeing if there's any in North America or Europe. And I might plan a trip to Japan just to play one at this point because there's only like a few left there. But yeah, it's like there was a lot of money pushed into these AX machines as well. On top of that, they released the anime F-Zero GP Legend, which 51 episodes. Jesus Christ. Like I actually had to sit through the whole thing, and I'll be absolutely honest, this wasn't the best writing ever. It was like 40 episodes of filler, then 11 episodes where they actually decide to do something with the plot. And I get it. There's a lot of characters and racers to go about it, but it
Mhm.
could have been so much more coherent. So 51 episodes of that. That was a clear investment that they spent a lot of money trying to get the animation going. Then they made the game based off of that. And then they made a second game based off of that anime. So God knows how much the storylines are like kind of tied, whether the anime is the new main storyline or GX. But point is, like in the span of I think those 2 years, they were really giving all they had with where F Zero was going. And I think they were expecting like big results. People would really be going for this thing, and it was phenomenal. It's a perfect game to me. It's like one of the best
Mhm.
I've ever played in my life. But like it mentioned in the video, GX didn't sell as much units as they would have hoped. And if in that case, you might as well put the number towards AX where, not many people would have been going for those arcade machines as opposed to other ones that were happening. Like, think about it, like, the people were probably like, there was, more popular IPs that were, like, kinda getting that are, like, get the arcade treatment, House of the Dead or Time Crisis, those are the ones people are usually going for,
Mhm.
and, and GP Legend, it went to the North American market through 4Kids, only had 15 episodes, and then they just abruptly ended the English dub.
Yeah.
So, I can't help but feel I'm not saying it's like a confirmed matter over here, but I feel 2003 and 2004 was a very difficult time where they tried to go all in with F-Zero, and the results were less than stellar. And I think
Yeah.
that was also a huge factor as to why there hasn't been another attempt in a while ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on top of that, we're talking, many years after where, they're wondering where's the best way to go about this again. Falcon in Smash, he was always like that's how he's known for now. That's where all the memes are. That's where his personality is at. Gon is like the stoic hero that, never thanks, mom. Gon is the stoic hero that, had like little to say where there was like no memes of Falcon punches and he kind of had his way about. And and that's people don't see that as Falcon anymore from the mainline games because they look at Smash and kind of see a little bit more of a flashy, flamboyant personality that is like the polar opposite of what Falcon is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I kind of miss that kind of like more stoic protagonist approach like he kind of had. He was kind of awesome in his own way. It was like a video game Chuck Norris
Yeah.
without, the discrimination.
Exactly.
But yeah, Falcon was always someone I just kind of admired as a kid. He was like a badass. And it was like it was stupidly cheesy, but at the same time, it worked with the tone. He went off against all the other racers, and then he went off against the embodiment of what is Satan. Then he went off against God. And I guess a part of me wonders, like, well, what's next for him? What else can he do? Black Shadow, I guess, is kind of dead in both medias. Um, Not much you could really do about that, I guess. And oh yeah, I think they did also have like a Game Boy Advance adaptation called Maximum Velocity, where it's like a different time era. So they were clearly trying something with F-Zero like a little bit back then. But it's just like all this kind of just came out where they just like pushed in as much as they could. They didn't get the results they wanted, and I just think that they're personally afraid of going about making a new game, making the right investment of making it the better than the other one. And the worst part is they don't even know how it's going to get better than the other one, and then expect the better sales. I mean, we're all
Yeah.
hankering for it, but at the end of the day, it's more of like a cult following. It's just like a hardcore fan base that's still playing the same game over and over again. And I'll tell you, there's still people that are like, the same way people are still playing Melee, we're like exposing any kind of like, glitches or playthrough or plays and trying to find like every way to like match the new world record. And F-Zero has a very notorious difficulty and skill set that's like very similar to like the technique you'd have in Melee. But look at like where Melee went up. Everyone was like obsessing over it, and then Brawl came out, and people were disappointed how Brawl turned out because it wasn't like the same mechanics or play style, and people were being more competitive in Melee. Nintendo keeps making like more Smash games after that, and there's people that are still more attached to Melee or Project M for that matter. And I think that the thing with F-Zero is the next game that's going to come out, I don't think it's going to be as good because Nintendo clearly doesn't have the same mindset it did back then with how Sega worked itself into it into making one of the best competitive games out there and with a notorious AI, some great style to it. Nintendo's obviously going to kind of do their own thing. And the situation is Nintendo's I think Nintendo's a little bit hypocritical for that matter because they're like talking about how they need to make something different and better. Meanwhile, they're still releasing the same kind of Mario Kart all these years with like little to no mechanic changes unless it's like a huge gimmick for like the next generation console. And they recently even made like a mobile version of it. So I think it's less about, oh, we got to find a new way to make the game work, which, we all know it's kind of ridiculous for F-Zero. F-Zero works its way because it's very fast paced. They're looking for, they're looking for a financial structure behind it. They want something that's gonna make the same kind of money, Mario Kart does because it's a big IP. Animal Crossing is getting more games because it's the new big thing. Fire Emblem got started with Smash Bros. Then they started adapting some stuff into Americas, and that's all the things that's a lot of the games people are really going after. Listen to like anyone like in the early 2000s who's even heard of Final Fantasy when it was still having games released, and now it's like the biggest thing, and people are complaining they're getting too many characters in Smash. At the end of it all, it's just a matter of like where their profits lie, and Nintendo having the toy maker mentality, they're obviously going to make more, Transformers, like Transformer figures, than they are of like some kind of random thing that people just want back for the sake of nostalgia.
Yeah.
It's a big IP. Mario can get away with as many things as he wants. Zelda is always going to be like the big bang. Meanwhile, stuff like Metroid and F-Zero and Star Fox are kind of just like squandered into, Smash Bros, which, while although respectable, and Sakurai is great for that. I respect everything that he does. But I don't think it's ever gonna get like that kind of love or high note as it does than, just being in a fighter. And if it does, I don't think it's gonna go over too well with some people's heads, especially with like what 17 years of playing the same game and kind of expecting that elitism of it never not going to be as good as the last one. I can guarantee that's gonna be the issue.
Yeah. At the very least, I'm hoping, like, it gets some sort of Switch like, a Switch port or something like that, where you could buy it in a marketplace, but
Oh god, you know what? If they wanna have one thing they wanna improve on, this is the perfect opportunity to give GX online play. Do you have any idea how many people want to actually be able to play this outside of its decaying shelf life right now? Not only with like, with a new console and maybe some refurbished graphics, but just being able to play against other people. That would be great. So if they can get a dedicated online with that, that would work phenomenal.